Excellent. Setting up the meeting for YouTube Live. That's cool. It's the first time I've done Zoom and YouTube. Excellent. We are live on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Artemis Prime here. Going to be giving you some powerful instruction today. Setting up the meeting for YouTube Live. That's cool. It's the first time. Excellent. Excellent. All right. So I'm also watching the YouTube feed. If you all have any questions on YouTube, just let me know. Let's get started. Take another deep breath in. Exhale. Oh, the breath is life. Breath is life. Hello, Freedom Agents. Artemis Prime here, founder of the Freedom Team International and master trainer to agents worldwide. Today is a legacy training. It's a training on how to be effective in your lead generation without chasing people or wasting time. This is going to be a three-part training with a three-part video series with different pieces of homework that you're going to do at the end of each part. So part one is all about the 3 keys to successful lead generation, taught to me by Uncle Nolly Williams, one of our great mentors and master teachers. So I'm going to go over the 3 keys of lead generation and what those activities are, as it's also related to your placement in your business. Like some of us are agents 1 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years, 10 to 15 years. So wherever you are in your real estate business or entrepreneurial journey, this training is about mastering the basics, but also getting that map and compass. One of the most frustrating things about applying strategies in your lead generation is to do the right things in the wrong order. So I'm going to be sharing with you in video 1, the Wealth Lighthouse, which is understanding where you are in your real estate business cycle. And I'm also going to be teaching from the Freedom Agent formula, which is a map. So today you have a map and a compass, so you don't have to be frustrated anymore about lead generation tactics, strategies, and techniques. You now know how to build that foundation in your lead generation. And with the proper foundation, you can build a multiple 6-figure business or 7-figure business in real estate or any business. And so this is the power of part 1, is getting that compass after we teach the 3 keys. In part 2, I'm going to be teaching you how to activate your superpowers so that you attract clients to you. And we're going to go over what those superpowers are. Like, what are your superpowers in marketing and branding and automation? What's the spiritual frequency that comes through in your lead generation connection and strategies? Now, part 3 is really, really super important because it's all about following your flow and using your God-given strengths to really activate more joy and more ease in your lead generations. This is a 3-part masterclass and training on successful lead generation. Let's dive into the 3 keys of lead generation. All right. So when you are in the process of generating business, you're going to be doing 3 core activities Monday through Friday from 9 to 11 or 12 to 2 or 2 to 4 p.m. And that's the discipline of lead generation. So you want to time block 2 to 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, and do these 3 activities. And the first activity is creating new buyer and seller leads. And that's whether you're working your sphere of influence, your database, email, calls, ads, whatever strategy you're using according to where you are in the lighthouse, you're going to be doing this first activity 5 days a week. Number 2 is following up with existing leads and clients, people already you're nurturing to turn into contract sellers and buyers. And number 3, and often the most confusing one for agents because they don't have a map and a compass, number 3 is creating marketing strategies. Now here's the caveat: creating marketing strategies aligned with your personal brand and your core values and your vision. And so these are the 3 activities of lead generation. And depending on where you land on the Wealth Lighthouse, let's talk about how you're going to be lining these activities up and where you're going to be putting your focus and attention. Because like I said earlier, when you're generating business in real estate, doing the right strategy in the wrong order can be so frustrating, and you can find yourself in these eddy currents, where you're busy every day, but you're not generating actual success. You're like on a rebounder. And when you understand the Wealth Lighthouse, You're going to be building a ladder instead of bouncing on a rebounder or spinning in a hamster wheel. And I know that's really frustrating for a lot of people watching, is that you feel sometimes like you're in this eddy current and all these other people are just zipping past you because they are either hustling really hard or they've got a mentor and a strategy they're following. And you just find yourself spinning and you're like, well, what am I doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong because your success in lead generation is not personal. It's not about you. It's about understanding structure. Success equals structure. Remember that. Success is not personal, structure. So in this part one of the video series, I'm putting a link below. For those watching live, I'll put it in the summary later. But there's going to be a link below on the Wealth Lighthouse quiz and the primary structures of success. And so for some of you, this is review, but for others, this is brand new information, because where you are in the business cycle, whether you're 1 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years, or 10 to 15 years in real estate, where you are creates a certain focus, and it gives you a certain direction in your lead generation. So here's the Wealth Lighthouse right here. We bring this up here. So we have basically, I'm gonna hold it right here. We've got infrared, your head's underwater, you're burning cash. Red is the survivor, orange is the worker, and yellow is the player. Now, if you are a red level agent and you're lead generating, what you need to do is pinpoint your passions, set your standards, and follow the flow, while also getting really, really clear on who you serve and who you love to serve. And that's, so at red level, we're going to talk more about this in the part 2, but at red level, you're pinpointing your passions. What are you passionate about in your business? Are you passionate working with buyers or sellers? Do you love working with, probate, divorce? Do you love working with families? What are you really passionate about, and who do you love to serve? And what are your core values? Your values and your passions are connected. And so as you pinpoint your passions and as you set your standards, what do you mean by setting your standards? Set the standards for who you want to serve and don't go below that. And so if you're going to set your standards right here, you're going to have a board in your office that has your financial goals and your standards on it. And you're going to set your standards. If these are the people you work with, you're not going to work with any other people below it. And so some of us, if we find ourselves just in an eddy current right here, not able to get to consistent flow, it's because we haven't set our standards. And we haven't reminded ourselves of those standards connected to our passions. And so that's important. If you haven't done that in your business, when you start applying orange level lead generation strategies, you're going to find yourself on a rebounder. You're going to find yourself bouncing up and down and going back and forth, back and forth. Now, when you pinpoint your passions and set your standards, you go look at the market and you follow the flow. And so you go look at the real estate market and go, what flow can I get into that's going to bring me a lot of leads? Now at red level, that flow is not necessarily advertising or automation or Google or YouTube or Facebook ads. That flow is your sphere of influence. So 60% of our deals are going to come from our SOI, and then the other 40 to 50% will come through additional marketing technologies we use. But following the flow is also following the flow in your sphere. And again, when you're doing these activities every day in your sphere, you're actually connecting to the flow of trust. Remember that money follows trust in lead generation. And if you haven't gotten a strong enough foundation here at red level with your passions, your values, and your flow, you're not going to be able to start executing the other activities we talk about at orange level. When you get to orange level in effective lead generation, that's when phase 3 starts to change, where you start to apply marketing strategies because you have built a clear mind. You built a clear mind in a powerful position in your marketplace. As you build a clear mind, which is self-awareness, a positive self-image, a clear personal brand, you move into that powerful position. And when you have that clear brand that's connected to your values and your passions with a clear mind, now you start creating marketing strategies that really will get you more and more deals off of the radar. And so that's an orange level strategy. And at orange level, that's when you start to really, really synchronize your steps and your rhythms. So at orange level lead generation, if you tested orange level and you're watching this video, you're going to be identifying your identity, You're going to be measuring your market and monetizing your moment. And so you already have a great SOI, you already got influence, you've already got, deals and referrals coming in, but now you're going to start building the niche. There's riches and niches, and you're going to start defining your brand. And in part two, I'm going to talk about your superpowers. Like, what are your core superpowers? In addition to your zone of genius, what are your core superpowers that attract these people to you, that connect them to your personal brand? We're going to talk more about that in part two. But for part one, if you tested orange level, you're going to build a brand identity clearly defined. You're going to measure what's going on in your market inside your sphere and outside your sphere. And then you're going to create a marketing strategy based around content. You're going to create a marketing strategy based around content that's going to create influence in your marketplace. And you're going to start to be seen as a celebrity, but also as someone who's very knowledgeable because you're teaching at that orange level. And so these are the three keys of effective lead generation. Now, to review the keys, key number one is creating new leads, buyers and sellers, 2 hours in the 2-hour window, 5 days a week. Key number two is following up with existing leads. Key number three is creating new marketing strategies that are aligned with your core values, your personal brand, and your vision. Now, a lot of agents I've coached over the years have trouble being consistent in their lead generation, or they find themselves hustling through it or grinding through it. And there's a reason for that. And I'm going to talk about that in part two, but I just want to share that that's one of the primary blocks, is that we feel like we have to do it because we're just chasing money and deals, or we feel like we're just moving through the trenches. It's like there's not that passion, there's not that energy behind it. And the reason that is, do you want to know why that people they kind of plateau in their lead gen? Is because they haven't been asked the right questions. And those questions we're going to cover in part two. So before we go into that, are there any questions, comments, or observations right now? Do y'all have anything you'd like to ask, or anything you'd like to add? What fires you up? What gets you?
Artemis.
Hey, Rebecca.
Hey, can you tell me where to take that test at again, so I can figure out where I'm at?
I'll text you the link. Yeah,
Okay,
I'll send
cool,
it to you.
thanks.
Yeah, it's a really, really powerful test. And whatever you test out at, Rebecca, if you test orange or yellow, there'll be some additional information I can share with you that'll give you like.
I have your all your stuff, so I just need to know where.
Yeah. There's some stuff I haven't shared yet with the team, particularly around those levels, because it's more advanced. So there's some stuff you haven't seen before that I can share with you.
Okay.
Some PDFs in each level, and the value of the Wealth Lighthouse is knowing when you need to build a net and build your SOI farm and niche, and when you need to build a garden, and building that garden is attracting, is the honeypots and flowers. So that's where you are. Is you're ready to build a garden. You're ready to build a garden where you have honeypots and flowers, and you're bringing a new additional people from outside your sphere of influence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I have that in a couple of reports you can read. One thing I love about Rebecca is she's very teachable, and I love that. She just loves to learn, and we need that spirit when we're learning real estate and when we're growing as entrepreneurs. Like a lot of these things about the Wealth Lighthouse and the Freedom Agent Formula, it's the language of entrepreneurship. It's not only real estate; it's how we can become effective entrepreneurs by learning this language. And remember, success is not personal. Don't make your success personal. It's about building structures and foundations in your business. And sometimes we may have skipped a few steps along the way, and going back and pinpointing our passions, reviewing our values, getting clear on who we are, what we stand for, and then putting that back into our lead generation can have all the difference in the world in terms of motivation and drive and getting going, going through it. Anything else you would like to ask or comment about? A master entrepreneur is a master of the basics. Like when Nolly taught me lead generation years and years ago, he said, you're always filling the pipeline, 5-6 days a week, but you're not doing it from fear or lack. You want to have a faith in God, You want to know that there's an infinite supply of people and deals for you, and you're just out there doing your good work through visions and values and passions. You're going out there connecting with your sphere, your farm, and your niche. And as you make the call compels the answer. But if you stop anywhere along this process and you stop doing this 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, you break the flow. You break the flow of energy. And so you just set that discipline 1 to 2 hours a week. Now, some weeks I'm doing 3 hours in a day because I got so many leads coming in from my Facebook ads, or I got so many people I'm working with and they're referring me deals or whatever. It's okay to do more than 2 hours, but don't lead generate 7 days a week. Remember, on the 7th day, God rested. So make sure that when you're following the Freedom Agent formula, you have a clear mind and you're taking that super happy fun day. Lead generation also needs a break so you can recharge and refuel yourself with meditation and self-care and these technologies of inner-sizing, what John Assaraf calls inner size. And one final thing I'll add in part 1 that's really important to understand is that as entrepreneurs, we're hunters. We enjoy the hunt. We enjoy generating leads, capturing the lead. And it's funny how we use the term capture the lead and convert the lead, like we're capturing our prey. And when we stop hunting, we don't stop the flow. Remember that the flow is still going, but we're taking a day or two off. And that's where our faith comes in. That's where our time of spiritual connection comes in. It's because if we're always hunting 7 days a week, we burn out as real estate agents. But if we take that free day and we go inside and do our meditation, visualization, imagination, we take that time away. When we come back into the hunt, we have that renewed sense of self and energy. So if you're watching this and you're not taking a super happy fun day, check out my Clear Mind module, because I'll be teaching that in the Freedom Agent training system. Everything begins with mind and awareness as you build successful lead generation strategies. All right, everyone take a deep breath in. Exhale. Inhale. All right, so this is part 2 of how to activate your superpowers so you can start attracting the clients you love to work with in your lead generation through all the things you're doing, no matter where you are in the Wealth Lighthouse, wherever you are, wherever you land in your business model, you have a superpower. You have something that's really, really powerful inside you that when you connect to it and you also learn how to communicate it to your marketplace, you begin to attract the people you love to serve. Because one of the limiting beliefs that we take on in business and real estate is we think we have to serve everybody, and you don't. You actually have a superpower that helps you understand what you love and how you want to give value to the marketplace. And as you learn that value, what you value, and you start translating that into your headlines, your emails, your phone calls, your videos, all the things you do to build your brand needs to be an expression of your values and your vision. I talk a lot about this in the Clear Mind module of the Freedom Agent training system. So let's go over this. Look below this video for a handout that I want you to print out. And this is understanding your core values. This is super, super simple thing to do, but I'm also going to be teaching you an advanced neuroscience-based exercise where you can start taking those values and realigning with them every day and getting them in your subconscious mind so that when you start to do more and more effective lead generation, you're expressing those values in your lead gen. And this is super, super, super powerful. And your values are your superpowers. And every single one of you watching this right now, you have different values. You have different things you value about your life and about your business and real estate. So I'm going to pull up a document real quick. Let's see if I have it right down here. Yeah, so stand by. I'm going to pull up the values sheet. And if you haven't done this in a while, it's good to print this out. And I'll send it to you if you ask me personally, if you're watching this live. And so this particular exercise is super powerful. And let's do a quick screen share and talk about it. So this is a large copy of about 100 values. So some people value ambition, some people value creativity, some people value fun or growth or enjoyment or experience or fairness or, teamwork. And what I want you to do in this values exercise, this is super powerful, guys. I'm really asking you to do this because remember, to know and not to do is not to know. So as you print this values sheet out, circle the values that you resonate with. And the ones you really love, not the ones you're like, I kind of like, adaptability, or I kind of like dedication or drive. But no, you really need to love this value, because I want you to narrow down your values to your top 20 or 30. And once you circle all the ones that you love, then I want you to do one more thing. I want you to narrow it down to your top 7. So like, as you circle all the ones you love on these 2 pages, then go back and circle your top 7 values. And then there's a few more things I want to teach you about those values. Now, when you have your top 7 values, that's in resonance to your clients you love to serve. What you value in your real estate business is what your clients also value in their life and business. And when your values are aligned, you're going to enjoy working with each other. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to be serving people who have different values than you. It's good to know your values, because, wealth is value times leverage. And as an agent, your value is in the pricing, availability, listing strategies, timing, negotiations, relationships. There's so much value we can give as agents to our marketplace. And what do you value as a spiritual being? This is the mistake that so many people do, is they're following other marketing practices or other marketing strategies that may not be aligned with their core values, because that real estate guru is teaching a strategy from their values. And so you need to know what you value, and then you want to be able to translate that like a flower, like a fractal, all the way up the wealth lighthouse. Whether you're working your SOI, you're going to work your sphere of influence from your core values. You're going to be communicating phone calls and text and doing live videos. If you're red level right now or orange level, and you find this is a hustle and a grind and you can't be consistent in your real estate lead generation, it's because you haven't discovered your core values and you haven't learned how to express those values into your marketplace. Now I feel some head nods. It's like, oh, right, because what I value is the value I give my marketplace. And I need to know that specifically. That's why in part 2, I'm giving you the value sheet. Circle all your favorite ones, the ones you love, narrow it down to 7. And here's what you do. You get a whiteboard. I call this the passion board. And you write your values on a whiteboard. And so it's so funny. Some of us just have to get to know ourselves before we really go out there and deliver passion and value to the marketplace. It's good to actually review your values. And if you're a more experienced agent, if you've done this in the past, you might want to do it again, just to refresh the spirit. There's a saying, the mind is like a garden. If we don't tend to it, it can go to weed. So if we find ourselves on a rebounder, if we find ourselves in an eddy current, sometimes we have to recenter our focus on our values, our vision, and then take that back into the marketplace. And so if this is the first time you've done it, great. If you haven't done it in a couple of years, go ahead and do it again. It only takes about 15 minutes. And here's how we take the values, which are your superpowers, which are connected to what you love and your passions. Here's how we take these values and then get them into the subconscious mind. So we have them on our passion board. We have our values. Now, for example, my values are wealth, creativity, purpose, contribution, freedom, family, and community. So if I'm going to go out and work in my real estate market, I love serving families. I love being able to contribute the wealth and creativity to my families. So if I'm working with a buyer or seller, I'm going to be helping them with wealth, whether they're building equity and getting their house, under contract, or they're selling their house and gaining money. Wealth is one of my core values. And so I'm going to be communicating that value as much as I can. Contribution. When people come into my sphere for real estate, I contribute through them. I have the most amazing team of realtors, lenders, builders, stagers, people who, do master all different types of real estate, all different types of life. I provide a concierge of service, and I love contribution. So, and I love giving exceptional value. So contribution is one of my core values. Also creativity. I'm very creative. I think outside the box. I have a lot of other agents and lenders who do the same thing. And sometimes that person's going to need to be creative. And if they already love creativity, if they love beauty and creativity, then as I go out there and deliver content and value, that value of creativity as it's communicated through my marketing is going to attract people who also value beauty, excellence, outside the box thinking. Does that make sense? Like, are you getting this? Like, your values are your superpower, and you want to know them, and then you want to write them on your whiteboard, and then you want to speak them out loud for about 30 days. You actually want to speak your values out loud to remind your conscious and subconscious mind that this is who I am. Because you're not like anyone else. You are unique. The way you're going to build a successful business is based on your brand identity, your powerful position, your clear mind, and your lead generation mastery. And your uniqueness needs to be known and felt. Some of us know it, but we aren't aligned with it in our hearts. And so when you're speaking your values out loud, wealth, creativity, contribution, freedom, purpose, family. Purpose is one of my favorite values. I love activating people's purpose. That's why I teach agents also the Freedom Agent formula. As you start speaking these words, and do it every day, once a day, in the shower, while you're driving, write it on a card, put it on your dashboard in your car. I mean, seriously, like, this stuff works. What it does is it starts to take what's conscious and make it subconscious. Because your subconscious mind responds to repetition, rhythm, and deep feeling. And this is how you activate your superpowers. Now, what you're going to notice is that if you've been drifting, or if you've been chasing shiny objects, or if you've been focused on your outer self, you may have to go inward for a little while. Speak these values out loud, what you value, through the values exercise. And then follow the Freedom Agent training system. Follow my system so you can take that awareness of your values and that meditation practice that you're doing every day. The brand, you built the powerful brand and that brand identity, and now you're taking your confidence and you're attracting new clients from your spiritual center, from what you value, from your superpowers. This is what's really, really powerful about taking what you value from the conscious level to the subconscious level, is that if you've been drifting, if you've been inconsistent, you're going to get fired up. And guess who's firing you up? The power of the spoken word and what you put your attention upon. When you put your attention upon your values and you start speaking them and you start aligning with them, and then you plug into a system that teaches you branding, marketing, and automation, now you are aligned. You're aligned with the most powerful force in the universe, your values, your vision, and your purpose. When you have that connection subconsciously to your values, vision, and purpose, nothing can stop you. And you literally start becoming magnetic, and it's really fun to watch when you do need the right structures. You do need the right lead generation systems and CRM automation systems. But when those are backed by your position and your vision and values, magic starts to happen. Things start coming in off the radar. It's the coolest thing because you're fired up. Your spiritual power has been activated, and then you also water it. And for additional advanced strategies, check out the module 1 in the Clear Mind module to help create our next generation agent. So that's part 2. Any questions, comments, or observations about your values? Anything you want to add, or any questions you have about that? Understanding your values and getting connected to your values. It's one of the most powerful things we can do and learn to express. When I think about values, I also think about the importance of stillness and silence as an entrepreneur and real estate agent. And if you've been trapped and tired, we're moving to the next generation of real estate where you have self-awareness and self-mastery. And when you're silent and you have the understanding of values and vision, you start to develop a greater awareness of who you are. You stop listening to the noise, the gurus and YouTube and Facebook and social media. It's okay to consume that content to grow a business, but none of that's telling you who you are. the way you learn who you are is through the silence and through meditation. That's why when I teach module 1, I provide meditation strategies and technologies, is because every one of you building a successful business, a rewarding business that fulfills you, needs to have silence. Once a day, 10 minutes a day, just 10 minutes. And if you can't quiet your mind, then use my audio until you can. But there's all kinds of meditation technologies. In the silence, with the awareness of values and vision, you start to come into alignment. And now meditation has multiple other benefits, such as defragging your stress, reducing stress, improving sleep, improving focus and concentration. Before I did this training in part 2, I was outside on the grass in the sun, wearing my bathing suit, just meditating in the sunlight. And that's why I'm so clear and so articulate, is because I did like 15 minutes of meditation, just silence, just presence, outside. And so that's a little addition to understanding your superpower, is that you're also going to need to enter the silence every day. And this is the one thing you are doing every day. You're not lead generating every day, but you are meditating and being silent every day for 10 to 15 minutes. And this is the thing that when you do daily, it increases that awareness, which then increases intuition. And with more intuition, you start to generate leads successfully and effectively from intuition. Super powerful. Now, next. This is part 3 of how to generate leads successfully without wasting time or chasing people. Now, remember, in part 1, we talked about the 3 basic activities of lead generation and understanding where you are in the Wealth Lighthouse, so that you understand how to move up without skipping steps. We need to know where we are in the Wealth Lighthouse. We need to know how to move up without skipping steps. Part 2, we talked about your core values, which are your superpowers. And so you need to understand your superpowers in real estate and how to express those values in your branding, your marketing, and your automation technologies. And so you're going to be getting clear on those values. Go back and watch part 2 if you haven't got clear on those values. And now we're entering part 3, which is taking your God-given strengths and translating those natural strengths, which is also your zone of genius, into your lead generation. Now, this is just a brief introduction into understanding how to take your God-given strengths into effective lead generation. I have more advanced training videos on this. And so look below this video, or when you get done with your genius test, you can learn more about that. But this is super, super fun, because so many people are trying to do everything in their business. And when you think you have to play all the roles in your real estate business, that's also another straight path to burnout, straight path to overwhelm, straight path to stress. Remember, entrepreneurship is supposed to be fun. Real estate is supposed to be fun. Now, I know most of you got into real estate for wealth and money, but this is supposed to be fun. You're a creator. And when you see little kids creating in their zone of genius, they're having a blast. And you can take that same childlike innocence with your parent and your adult, your entrepreneur, and you can, through your zone of genius, create in flow. And so what is flow? What is my God-given strength? What is my zone of genius? Now, look below this video for your free genius test. And if you're part of the Freedom Team, you get a more sophisticated test through Wealth Dynamics. It's called your Wealth Dynamics profile. But here's the really cool thing. Let me lower this a little bit. Your fortune follows flow. Flow is that state of action and behavior where your sense of self vanishes, where you're just in the zone. And when you're doing your lead generation and you know that you're a steal, you have a different flow that you follow to feel fulfilled and successful. When you're a Blaze agent or a Dynamo agent or a Tempo agent, wherever you land on the Genius Quiz, and you start to take my training and understand how to get into flow, you actually become more productive, because you're doing what is natural to you. Remember, your zone of genius is your nature. Your zone of genius is what is natural to you. And it's so funny because none of us initially knows that at first. It's like we're born in this body. We're not taught how to have relationships. We're not taught how to take care of our bodies and be healthy. And we're definitely not taught how to create a business and monetize our passions. And so a lot of these things are intrinsic to us, but we also have to learn them. That's the paradox of life. And learning your zone of genius as an entrepreneur is the most important thing to do after you've done the first two parts. Because once you have identified where you are in your business, you have a compass. When you understand your values, you have your superpower. And now when you understand your zone of genius, you take your direction, your values, and you start to follow your flow. You know, there's method to my madness in these three steps. You need to follow your flow, because whether you're at red level or orange level or yellow level, you're going to be following your flow in different ways at different in different levels of your business. And you want your business to be fun. You want to have fun. You want to do what you love in your lead generation and do what you do best. And so you're getting into flow. Now, a little caveat here. For a lot of us who've been so brainwashed in the hustle and grind culture that we hit this wall. So I want to talk about the wall you may hit when you first learn this stuff. When you first learn your zone of genius, you're going to hit a wall. And that's the old self, the self that's been living in hustle and grind and got to, have to, must, and compulsion. Your flow, your state of flow is the antithesis of that. So it's going to take you 60 to 90 days of meditation and videos from me and my mentor, Roger, and reading the Millionaire Master Plan and taking your wealth quiz and your profile. It's going to take you about 60, 90 days to change your behavior. So don't be so hard on yourself if I teach you this stuff and next week you're not having fun. Like, but Arttemis says business is supposed to be fun. It's like, no, that's not how this works, because you've been indoctrinated and told a bunch of half-truths. You know, as an entrepreneur and real estate agent, 75 to 87% of the activities that you've been taught to do are not in your natural zone of genius. Think about that. And that's because you have a team around you to help you do those activities. So if you learn that you're a blaze genius and you've been trying to build all your CRMs and systems and do the steel work, don't expect that you're going to just naturally fall into the flow of a blaze in a week or two. It takes time to change your patterns and behavior. So give yourself time to go through 3 phases in following your flow and getting more fun in your lead generation. So phase 1 is the hard phase. Phase 2 is the messy phase. And then phase 3 becomes beautiful, because now you know your flow and you're living it. So when you hit the hard phase, what do? You go back to the clear mind module. You read your values every day. You get mentored. You follow the videos. You watch the video on your zone of genius a couple of times. You listen to the Millionaire Master Plan. Really tell your subconscious mind that, hey, I don't have to be in a hustle anymore. I can actually do what I love. And through repetition, I'm going to learn how to do more of what I love in my business, which is going to make me healthier, happier, and more financially successful, because your fortune does follow flow if you're combining the flow and the lead generation with the proper structure. So I know it's a paradox. Success is not personal, it's structure. And paradoxically, you get to love what you do. You get to love it. You get to do what's natural to you. And you're going to go through that hard phase, videos, audios, mentoring. You're going to get to a messy phase where you're doing a little bit more of it, but then you're like, you're getting pulled in all these different directions because you haven't meditated properly. You haven't gotten silent enough. You haven't been still enough to really get aware of who you are. And as you keep doing the clear mind, as you start remembering who you are, then you get into the beautiful phase where you're doing 80% of what you love every day. Literally, when you learn and master your zone of genius, which takes about 2 to 3 months with discipline and love, 80% of your activities should be doing what you love every day. And 20% of the things that you, quote, have to do or you have to delegate to your team. But 80% should be doing what you love. And this is the importance of following your flow. So quick review of the 4 zones of genius, and look below this video or consult the Freedom Agent training system and the mastermind for more education on this. But this is super powerful because you are made unique. You have a certain genius to give real estate market. And when you lead generate inside that genius, real estate becomes more fun. And one final thing I'll mention is that when you know who you are and you know what's natural to you in your business and how you love to add leverage or value, then you can start to delegate what you don't love with precision. For example, I'm a Blaze genius and I'm a Blaze star. So I love people, connection, collaboration. I love fun and variety. We got an agent here that's like way more Blaze than I am, watching this right now, Rebecca. And I now know if I get anything that has to do with a system or a process, I'm going to delegate it. I'm just going to give it to I have 3 steel geniuses on my team. So I just delegate that bitch, excuse my French, but it's like, I used to try to learn all this stuff and I still thought I had to do it. Like, no, I'm over here. Blaze agents love fun, variety, collaboration, and people. So if you're a Blaze agent, you're going to create leverage through magnifying you. If you're a steel agent, you're going to create leverage through multiplying your systems and replacing yourself. So as a steel, you find your flow through measurement and ultimately replacing yourself. But as a Blaze agent, you find your flow through fun and people and making it all about you. So Rebecca, if you're watching this, you need to build the brand and the identity, and you need to leverage your brand against the market and make yourself stand out even more and make yourself more powerful and effective and unique compared to all the other listing agents. You need to identify that identity and build lots of free education, videos, marketing, and automation tools that magnify your Blaze nature and so that you actually start working with higher and higher caliber inventory and people, and you make it all about you. You magnify and create leverage through magnification, whereas a steel creates leverage through multiplication, duplicating himself. This is Nolly over here. Nolly.
Oh, that's what that's about. So,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
I hired 3 people. I have 3 people now.
Yeah, great.
Leverage. I just have a hard time delegating, but that's okay. My thing is, I like to do the marketing and the design stuff. I can't just pass it on. What do you do to do that? How do you do that?
So I know you did your full Wealth Dynamics profile, but if you love the marketing and the design stuff, that means you have some Dynamo and Blaze tendencies. You're not just Blaze, you have a high Dynamo frequency. And so the way you balance that out in your weekly lead generation activities is that the first thing I want you to do in the morning before you start connecting and collaborating with your leads is create something. Just start your morning creating a PDF, a video outline, a social media post. Just start in that Dynamo energy so you can get it out of your system and then go to your full-on flow of lead generation, which is Blaze. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's okay to create a little video outline. Just get it done first thing. And then
I love that because I'm like, I'll spend all day playing around.
Yeah.
So bad.
So I think you're a supporter profile over here. So you're really about the people and about connecting and building your network. So you have a star wing and a deal maker wing. And as you learn, it's all about the people. You're going to have your systems building the brand and answering questions, overcoming objections with listings. So you're going to build more educational content that separates you apart from all the other agents. And you're going to learn how to disperse that at orange level until you get to yellow level status. Now, the dynamo up here is really powerful in you, but it's not your primary zone of genius. It's your secondary zone of genius. So make sure you express this, but then follow your flow, which for a Blaze agent, and I'm going to talk about these other agents in a sec.
Can you have 3? Like, I was talking to Mina about it. Can you have 3? Like, I think I'm steel too, because I do not like to leave the house. I like to stay home and work on stuff. I don't know. I'm like, Nolly too. I'm like, I don't like people. I'm like,
now remember, Rebecca, we have all 4 geniuses inside of us. Just
okay.
One is primary. So you have these qualities too. It's just not primary. When you think about your primary zone of genius, it's what's most natural to you. But you can do all these other things too. But when 80% of your day is all about fun, variety, and people, and you have all this other stuff covered, imagine how much more productive you are.
Right.
You already know this.
You're right.
It's
okay.
like, yeah, so this is primary. So a common question is like, hey, but I love the other stuff too. It's like, no, but it's not your flow. It's not what's primary to you.
Right.
You can use your wings to get lift through your marketing engine and your marketing strategies. Remember, the third strategy of lead generation is to create marketing strategies aligned with your personal brand, vision, and values. And you can use these other wings to get lift, but you're going to be leaning. It takes a while, Rebecca, but you'll get better at this as you start to delegate more. Now that you know these are your weaknesses over here,
Yeah.
You delegate these, and 80% of your day is people, variety, and collaboration. You know,
Okay.
make sense? Yeah. Now, going from Blaze to Tempo. Tempo agents are sensory agents. Their ears are to the ground. If Dynamo and Blaze love to start things, Tempo loves to finish them. So a tempo is like your transaction coordinator, your project manager. It's the customer service. It's the contract close. It's inspectors are really tempo, in the real estate business. They love one-on-one, and they're all about the process and completing the process. A tempo agent, we have an agent on this call who's a deal maker, so he has Blaze and Tempo. Sometimes they can get stuck in a rut. And so a tempo agent needs a North Star. So they need to have a clear goal based on their structure. So the tempo's at red level, he's going to have a certain activity to do that gets him to orange. And he needs to have a North Star that's going to get him from here to here. So he doesn't stagnate. Tempos easily get stuck in ruts. They can become stubborn and difficult to change. And so once again, every agent needs the clear mind module, because that's how we become more teachable, is get a clear mind. And then we start creating that North Star. What's the next financial goal? What's the next goal in production? The tempo needs that North Star, which is Dynamo. Now, as a tempo agent, you don't need to create the idea or the product or marketing system. If you're a tempo and watching this, you need to find someone like me or Nolly to provide the North Star in marketing. But the North Star you're going to provide is your one-year vision, your financial goals, pinpointing your passions, setting your standards, following the flow, getting into that discipline, getting into flow. Tempos love the process. They love getting into the action. So if you're a tempo watching this, you need to be out there having face-to-face meetings with clients, having meetings. You need to be connecting one-on-one. Tempo's superpower is relationships, one-on-one relationships. Whereas Rebecca, you're over here, your superpower is your network. You made a ton of relationships, but you don't always necessarily love the one-on-one all the time. You're actually better with groups of people.
I think I'm better with one-on-one.
No, it's because you haven't grown as an agent yet.
Groups. I don't like, you're really good at teaching. I am not good at
I'm not saying teaching.
Or like whatever, any of that. Like I'm good with one-on-one. And when I get in a group, I'm just nervous and I don't know.
Yeah, so, and you'll feel that in time. You're right. You may feel a little nervous now, but as this support over here, this high Blaze energy, eventually what you want to do is step out of production and start building teams and supporting them to become more successful. Have you seen how you love supporting agents to become more successful?
Yeah.
If you had a way to monetize that as much as you are making now, you would love doing that because you're supporting them every week.
My broker doing on it, and I'm going to do it because I'm working on my broker's license. So I've got my classes I'm working on, and I need to practice that anyway. And they allow it, like they allow me to be a broker, kind of, not a broker, but a team leader. And so I get to handle all of my stuff, like my accounting and everything. So I'm going to practice that.
Yeah. And so you can see as you start to fill these gaps, as you start to delegate your weaknesses and step more into flow, eventually that flow is going to rise into supporting agents, not supporting sellers. You're going to be leveling up, and remember you're wired for it as a supportive profile. You're naturally going to be a great leader of people, and then you're going to teach the people how to lead the clients, and then you make sure you have a system to automate the teaching and scaling, because you don't need to build the system. You just need to go out and help people.
Bring them in, right? Yeah. And love them, just love on them. That's all I think. You know.
Why am I mentioning that in the class today is because we need to understand the distinction between one-on-one to one-to-many. Even though you're scared right now, when the Spirit of God shows up in you and you have the right team around you, that fear is going to go away. Right. You're going to want to start helping people more in groups of people, and you're going to start sowing seeds into others. Now, this is a 2 to 3 year process. This doesn't happen overnight. Right. So one of the things we don't have as Blaze is very much patience.
Right.
Whereas a steel agent has all the patience in the world. So a steel agent loves how things work. Steels get into measurement through flow. So if you're Blaze and watching this, you want to take a 5-minute recess every 30 minutes, and you want lots of variety in your day. If you're steel, you want to be in one place for about 45 to 50 minutes and take 10-minute recesses every hour. So if the thing about Dynamo and Blaze agents is that they think you need to have 1 hour time blocks. And it's like, no, variety brings you flow, creativity and variety. So it's actually good to break it up and just be like a butterfly and make sure you've got your North Star and your systems over
Right.
here. But it's good to have lots of variety. So blazes need to have those recesses with greater frequency, whereas a steel agent needs to have stillness. They need time alone. And your need for time alone, Rebecca, is different than a steel's need for time alone because it's related to their nature. It's related to being an introvert. You know, if a blaze agent's out having meetings and doing, you know, listing appointments and showings and filming videos, that energizes them. But if a steel were to do that every day, it would drain them. So you still need to get out, steel agent, and network once a week. But a lot of your lead gen, a lot of your marketing and leverage is going to be done from your lead generation bunker. Like Nolly has multiple 6 and 7 figure businesses. He never leaves the house. How many know what I'm talking about? He never leaves the house because
Either. I'm the same.
genius. Like I had to go knock on his door and say, Nolly, there's a workshop, there's an event, come. I had to drag him out of his house for years. Well, now he kind of gets it. But you know, I used to drag him out of the house so he could go and grow and share his genius because he's built amazing systems for us with successful listings. So steel agents get into flow through measurement and systems, and they love learning how to work. Now, they love learning how things work. When you're working with a steel client, or when you're working with a steel agent, they're going to be not as quick to make decisions. So one ways we can have compassion for our steel clients in real estate is give them all the data, give them all the information, go over all the details. And you know what I'm talking about if you've been in real estate for a while. If they're Blaze and Dynamo, just give them the big picture and make sure they feel good about it. But if they're steel and tempo, make sure they get all the information. And you'll know they're steel because their eyes are really close together. They're engineers, they're accountants. You know, they're wearing like introvert clothes. Like they're not wearing colorful clothing. They don't talk fast. They usually talk slower, or they're more precise in their wording. And we need to make sure they understand how it's all going to work out. The question the steel genius is always asking is how. And once they understand all of the answers to that question, now they're confident and ready to move forward. So if you're a steel agent watching this, or you have steel clients, just make sure you study well, because you're going to be sometimes more effective than the Blaze agent at lead generation because you now know how it works. Whereas a Blaze agent gets easily distracted, extrovert. The introvert, when he fully learns and grasps the structures, will just soar at the lighthouse when they get into flow. Measurement gets the steel into flow. Now I measure my SOI every week, my pipeline of deals, and my lead generation. No matter how successful I am, I always measure those 3 things. But as a steel agent, you want to be measuring those things and then getting into the detailed measurements of your business, like maybe how many emails, calls, videos you're doing a week. Get more detailed in measurement. If you're Blaze, you still need to measure, but it doesn't bring you flow. Measurement over here for the Blaze genius creates a container for the fire to channel. So if you're Blaze, you're fire element. If you're steel, you're metal element. This is metal fire. If you're measuring as a Blaze, you're channeling the fire because you're keeping yourself in structure and discipline of lead generation. But if you're steel, you love to measure. And maybe some of you who are steel aren't measuring yet. You haven't found that flow. But I asked Nolly one day in a workshop a couple months ago, I was like, Nolly, what do you measure? He smiles. He goes, I measure everything. He measures funnels, emails, clients. He's looking at his organization every day, measuring. And he intuitively knows that gives him flow. He measures everything. And you treasure what you measure. Dynamo agent, final agent. The dynamo agent in lead generation gets into flow through creation. Write that word down. You're creative. You love creation. So I'm not a full dynamo primary genius. Blaze is my primary zone of genius, but this is my secondary zone of genius. And Bradford, for you watching, steel is your primary, but dynamo is really close to your secondary. So you love the creative process too. And to get that, if your primary zone of genius is dynamo, before you make any calls, before you do anything else, I want you going to your whiteboard or your computer and creating something. creating a piece of content, creating an email newsletter, creating a video outline. What I did this morning is I came in and I wrote out the titles of this video, and I created just for like 10 minutes. And then I went right into my morning practice. So like in the Freedom Agent formula, I teach the 5 keys of the clear mind. And for dynamo geniuses, it's good to actually create something and then go into movement, breath work, and meditation. Sometimes you just need to get into that zone, that creativity. And it doesn't mean to say that if you land anywhere else, you shouldn't create something in the morning. If the spirit moves you, create it. But for the dynamo agent, creation is their primary zone of genius. They need to start their day in creation because that like primes the pump for the dynamo agent. Whereas like the steel agent needs to start in hydration, breath, and silence. Like they need to get really still. Metal, think of the energy of metal. And if you're tempo, same difference. You need to get really grounded, and in the earth, this is earth element. If you're spring and summer, you just need a little bit more aliveness in your morning practice, such as rebounding, walking, a little yoga, and then, creation, meditation. So that's the dynamo gets into flow through creativity and starting things. So this is a quick overview of the 4 zones of genius. I have more extensive training videos on this in the Freedom Agent training system on each individual zone. So thank you all for watching today. This has been this is more than I thought I was going to share, but thank you for your engagement, Rebecca. It's really, really good. So questions, comments, observations. So the last thing I want to say is, what do you need to recommit to? So like Rebecca, what are you going to recommit to after you learned today? And what are you going to really practice until it becomes second nature? Oh, you're muted. What are you recommitting to?
I start something and then I start 10 other things. I'm going to start finishing that thing and moving on to the next thing and moving on to the next thing and making money at like re-up, they're really bad at follow-up. I told them that too. And
yeah, finish what you start.
I'm bad at follow-up. So I'm working on my follow-up.
Yeah. So that's the taking that summer and then getting it into the ground. And
delegating.
And delegating. Yeah.
I have a hard time giving my stuff away. And I tell you, I've been through like 8 TCs because they didn't do their job right. And I'm not saying that I was a jerk about it. They just didn't.
Right. You haven't found the right fit. I understand.
What a fit. They didn't do their job right. And so I think I found my team. I'm good. I've got 3 gals and they're working and they're doing good. And so I'm excited that I can pass on my stuff and actually trust it, and trust too, trusting that they're going to do their job. Okay. And I don't have to worry about it.
So what I want you to focus on is one thing.
Yes.
Just because you mentioned 3 things to recommit to. Yep. I'm asking for one. But I, as your coach, I'm here to see blind spots and help you cover them. So the one thing is project to process. So you're great at starting things, but not always good at finishing it. Mm-hmm. So create an accountability structure to completing the process, which is natural if you're high dynamo blaze. Is you're good at starting things, but it's not natural for you to finish. So there's 2 ways you do this. One is you get a clear weekly and monthly plan. If you look at your gaps in your business model right now, if you need to build more influence or create a content strategy, whatever you're doing in this month, that's your focus, map it out over 4 weeks. And, and just what by when, write that down. What by when? And like today, I knew I had to do these 3 videos. So this was my win. It was done today. Now it's going to go up to my video editor. It's going to be uploaded to my training system and it's done. But I had to create a win. And I started that win on Monday and now it's Wednesday. And so what you need to do to create the process from the project is spend some more time planning your month. Look farther out because you're too close.
The world. And yeah. I am back to the yeah.
Plan your month related to the marketing strategy you need to execute to create that leverage, and do a what by when map, which in Wealth Dynamics, we call this the promotion plan. And the promotion plan is a 90-day map, but I'm asking you just for 30 days. Just start with 30.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, send it to me. Yeah, I'll be happy to critique it and help you with it. So as you watch these videos, you can see Rebecca's blind spot is starting, not finishing. And so she's going to create a map, and then she's going to follow her flow inside that map. But whatever, now that you've learned these things, you just get to recommit to maybe one thing. Maybe it's like just meditating, just getting really still every day. Or maybe it's the 2 hours of lead generation, just time blocking that time and then measuring it, writing it out every week. That's a great commitment from watching these videos. Is just map out your 2 hours, Monday through Saturday, and just track those hours. Just making sure that you're doing those 3 activities you learned in video 1. Maybe your recommit is studying your profile a little bit more and learning, like, what is tempo? If I'm a tempo deal maker, trader, accumulator, what does that mean for my flow? If I'm a mechanic, creator, star, what does that mean? Like, maybe you need to study yourself a little bit more. But your homework from this is just recommit just to that one thing that's going to move the needle in your lead generation style and your lead generation discipline and practice, and know that one of the most important things is to follow your flow as you do it, because it's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to have fun in your lead generation. So that's it. Artemis Prime here, coming at you with this 3-part video series. Thank you all for watching today. And for more information, definitely check out more training in the Freedom Agent system and formula. Reach out to me if you have any questions on the Facebook group at the Freedom Agent Mastermind, and I'll see you all very soon.